Valkyrie Elysium is out today for £55 on PS4 and PS5, so let's discuss what it is and whether you should care about it. First of all, let's establish what it isn't. It isn't Devil May Cry. This is perhaps the comparison you will often see elsewhere, and I think this is off. Even though there are similarities in how you unlock different combos for the different weapons, the moment to moment is very different, not to mention that the tone is completely opposite. Whereas DMC is known for its fairly dark atmosphere, with some of the main characters pulled from an edgy emo convention, Valkyrie has the vibe of a PG-13 fairy tale. The game is set in this fantasy world with Norse mythology characters plus waifus? As a side point, kudos to them for not making the female protagonist wear some kind of bikini armor or such. Jokes aside, I think they nailed the look of the game for what they're trying to do. You see the cel-shaded comic book look that has been very popular, and I think it works well to elevate the fiction and also differentiate characters from the environment. Throughout the game, you unlock different weapons, each of them with their own moveset. Not only that, but as you level up each weapon, they unlock more moves. The combos are pretty basic overall, using a heavy and light attack button. In addition to that though, you have 4 magic attacks that you can have equipped, and summons that you can call into battle. They also give you an elemental bonus to your own attacks and magic. But with all that, how does it feel to play? Well, I'm gonna say cautiously quite good. Here's the thing, the game takes a while to get on. In the beginning, the stuff you have access to is quite basic and boring, but as you advance, you get much more cool shit and a few options to choose from. Once you get a couple different weapons and a few combos, it starts to come together quite nicely. The combat is fairly responsive, and you can animation cancel with your dash, which feels great. In fact, you can also get a second dash and a second jump, which is always a positive in my book. I did feel at times that some animations have a very long tail to them and can break the sense of momentum you otherwise have. For example, when you do the kick, that takes a long time and you cannot buffer further attacks after doing it. However, you can get around that by canceling the tail end of the animation with a dash, allowing you to jump into another command seamlessly. Sadly, other animations are long but uncancelable, and here, uncancelable is not a good thing. For instance, if you're knocked down, which is bound to happen often in the sheer chaos, the animation to get up feels eternal, and there's nothing you can do about that. I guess you're fine as long as you don't get hit, Kappa. On the bright side, you have a grapple to gap close onto enemies that feels great, and the magic is cast seamlessly. With all the chaos of enemies, I found it unreliable to engage with the parrying much, but that mechanic is there if you like it. Dashing away works perfectly fine, however, as a strategy, if you're not into that. Enemies have elemental weakness, as well as weapon vulnerabilities, which are clearly shown to the player and are a key way to tackle some of the tougher enemies. And speaking of, I was playing in hard mode and it felt like a good balance. I wouldn't really recommend normal mode to most people as it felt a bit too easy, but the option is there if you want it. Personally, I really appreciate the fact that there are many ways you can tackle fights. Bum rush the archer backline? You can, by grappling into them. Stun the ranged gargoyles while dealing with the dogs with your fire spell? You can really approach each situation as you feel like it, and it's all viable. With that said, the wealth of choice isn't there when it comes to level ups. As you progress, you can choose to level attack, defense, or support. Each of these trees has some bonus stats as well as some new moves that you can unlock, but my issue is that more than a tree, they look like a branch. In other words, almost no choosing and just going down the nodes linearly. Sure, you can pick between the 3 main trees at different times, but each tree gives basically no choice to the player. I love to lose myself in these giant passive skill trees like in Final Fantasy X or Path of Exile, crafting a build to fit my playstyle. That's not really here, so just be aware of that. There is a good amount of voice acting and it feels of high quality, even though It has that very fairy tale style we discussed. I will say there are a lot of side quests, and most don't have any voice acting, just text. You're looking at a long game here, don't be fooled, and there will be lots of side content you have to get through as well, with no connection or progression to the main narrative. This is a game I can recommend if you really enjoy the gameplay. There's a free demo that's fairly lengthy and that should give you a good idea of how it feels besides just seeing the footage here. The story is passable, but so far it hasn't grabbed me, and I'm interested pretty much exclusively in the combat and the setting. I played this on PS5 and it ran great there, no real technical issues to report so far. Ultimately, for £55, I'd wait for a sale. I don't think it has the meat to justify that price, given the narrative feels a bit throwaway and there is a lack of voice acting in most side content. However, it does offer a satisfying combat loop if you're into these types of games, and I can see a lot of people losing many hours on this one. By the way, if you can't get enough of my accent of dubious origin, consider joining my streams on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Times and links for that down below. And with that, I bid you farewell. Until next time.